Very, very good morning, very distinguished ladies and gentlemen. You're welcome to the SPE Abuja section International Day of Women and Girls in Science. Of course, this event is in collaboration with the UN Women. And of course, we are excited to speak about redefining STEM by closing the gender gap. So on behalf of SPE Abuja section, on behalf of UN Women, on behalf of all of the amazing women we have in the industry, we say welcome to this event. My pleasure it is to have you join us for the 2026 International Day of Women and Girls in STEM. For the next few minutes, I kindly appeal that you share this link to your friends, your colleagues on your WhatsApp groups, your WhatsApp platforms. Kindly share the link around so that we can have as many women join this conversation. And while we await others to join, do me a favor, head to the chat box of this call, the Zoom call. Head to the chat box. Let's know where you are joining us from. Which parts of Africa, which part of Nigeria are you joining us from? And then in one powerful word, what must change for us to truly close the gender gap? In just one word, what do you think must change for us to close the gender gap in STEM? In one word. So where are you joining us from? And then in one word, what do you think, in your opinion, must really change for us to close the gender gap? Today, we have amazing speakers who will do justice to the theme, which I've shared earlier. So please, let me know on the chat box where are you joining us from? And then what do you think must change in order to close the gender gap? Ladies and gentlemen, I will continue the event by recognizing some amazing personalities that have joined us on the call today. Please, when I recognize you, I kindly appeal that you may just unmute your mic and say hi to all of our participants. We'd like to say a warm welcome to a visionary leader strengthening the bridge between policy and purpose in SPE Abuja section. A warm welcome to the section chairman of SPE Abuja, engineer Ikechiko Okafor, PhD. Warm welcome to you, sir. Confirm you can hear me, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Akwan. I can hear you. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, sir. Thank you for how you lead the section to excellence. Also on the call is a strategic architect turning bold ideas into structural impacts within the STEM ecosystem. We speak of the program's chair of SPE Abuja section on the call, Professor I beg your pardon, Professor Kafayat Adeyemi.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining this call.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for all you do for SPE Abuja section. We also have a growth strategist driving innovation and conversations across Africa's business ecosystem. She is the moderator for today. She is the lead business development unit of Cypher Crescent Limited. Onome Jonathan Olarotimi, I'm moderator for today. Very warm welcome to you, ma'am. Thank you for accepting to moderate today's event.
Thank you. It's my pleasure to be here as well. Thank you for having me. Good morning to everyone on the call.
Good morning. Ladies and gentlemen, still on the call, we also have our collaborator for today's event. Speaking of the UN Women, she is a global advocate amplifying the voices and visibility of women across industries. A warm welcome to the acting deputy country representatives of UN Women Nigeria on the call, Patience Ekoba. Welcome to you, ma'am. Thank you for joining us today. Okay, she's still on the call. Oh, she's on the call. Your mic is muted if you are speaking. Okay, I believe Patience Keoba would unmute her mic and speak later. Still on the call,
can
ladies and
you hear me? Good.
Yes.
Good afternoon. Apologies. I didn't know that my mic was muted. Thank you for
Awesome.
inviting and working with us on this. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Also on the call, who will serve as a speaker, ladies and gentlemen, is a regulator shaping excellence and operational leadership in Nigeria's energy landscape. She is a lead assets and facilities management at the Lagos Regional Office of the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission. Ifeinwa Okafor. A very warm morning to you, ma'am. Confirm you can hear me.
Hi, good morning, everyone.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. And still on the call, ladies and gentlemen, is an academic powerhouse building the next generation of research-driven change maker. She is a Dean School of Postgraduate Studies at the Federal University of Petroleum Resources, Furon. Ladies and gentlemen, help me welcome Juliet Umudianuge. Welcome, ma'am.
Okay, thank you so much. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
Awesome. And the last but not the least on the list of speakers, amazing women driving STEM innovation across Nigeria and Africa, a tech luminary advancing artificial intelligence and computer science with purpose and precision. Of course, she is a professor of computer science and artificial intelligence at Nasarawa State University, KFI. Please help me welcome Rashida Funke Olaruwaju, professor. Welcome, ma'am.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. And I'm happy to be among these brilliant souls here.
Awesome, awesome. A pleasure to also have you on the call. Like I asked earlier on, in one word, can you share how one word that can actually bridge the gap between STEM? I can see a lot of comments. Ikechiko Kafo from Abuja is saying to bridge the gap, we must go from competition to collaboration. Amazing, amazing. Patience saying, I'm joining from UN House Abuja. We must recognize that we need men, women, boys, and girls' contributions to create transformational world. We must ensure women and girls are not left out. Just in case you don't get my question, I asked, let's know where you're joining us from with your name. What part of Nigeria, what part of Africa are you joining us from? And then in one powerful word, just one word, what must change for us to truly close the gender gap in STEM? Let me continue by sharing the agenda for today. This event is built to last for 1 hour and 30 minutes. After we have the arrival of participants, which we are still having them join the call, we have the safety brief. I'll take that. And then we'll have the introduction of guests on the call. Ladies and gentlemen, which I've already done, we have a welcome remarks by our section chair, and then we switch gears to a goodwill message by Patience Ekoba, the acting deputy country rep of UN. After which we have the moderator manage the panel session, after which we switch gears to the question and answers. So please, when we have the panel discussion, we kindly appeal that you jot your questions on the chat box where the moderator will pick those questions and share. We'd like to also inform you that this event is live streamed on YouTube. So always endeavor you visit SP Abuja section on YouTube and have a feel of this event. We have a closing remark by Farida Dan Ali. Is she on the call? Ladies and gentlemen, we'd like to recognize Farida Dan Ali on the call, the chairman, Diversity and Inclusion SP Abuja. Hello, ma'am. Welcome to the event. Welcome, ma'am.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining. Yeah.
Good morning, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am, for joining us. Of course, she has an engagement in Lagos and still decided to join the event, even when she's not in Abuja. Thank you so much, dear and Aiche, for all you do for SPA Abuja. We see several executives on the call. Welcome all of the board members on the call. We can see the Student Affairs Chair, Aisha, on the call. Welcome, ma'am. Thank you so much for joining. All senior members, all student members on the call. Once again, welcome to this event. Let me see your chat. What have you said on the chat? Ifi Okafor says true acceptance. That is the word that she feels truly would close the gender gap in STEM. True acceptance. I get to Ifi Okafor. Onome says inclusion must be intentional. I said one word. That's actually 4 words. Inclusion, I believe, is the word. Must be intentional in order to close the gender gap. Dr. Danda J is from Ahmadu Bello University. He says it's simply called equality of opportunities. That's very deep. Equality of opportunities. I believe everybody should have equal opportunities for us to bridge this STEM gap. Ladies and gentlemen, let's switch gears. We've done a lot of talking. Let's switch gears to know some of our speakers. But before that, the safety brief. Please, for the course of this event, we advise that you mute your mic if you're not speaking. Raise your hands if you want to speak, or you use the chat box for your questions and the comment. Our moderators will pick all of the questions throughout the event, which we'll share to all of our speakers. We also ensure that you hear the fire alarm with your headset. We are alert and aware of your environment, and please ensure you stay safe. Your Excellencies, very distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, at this point, would like to welcome to give the first remarks for today, a man of capacity, a man leading SP Abuja section to excellence. Of course, he is the section chairman of SP Abuja. Please help me welcome for his address, Engineer Ikechukwu Okafor, PhD, as he gives us his welcome remarks. Over to you, section chair, sir.
Okay, thank you, Akpan. Please confirm you can hear me.
Loud and clear, sir.
Okay, apologies. I would not be able to come on video. I'm at the airport and it's a little bit noisy. But today, we are speaking to a very important session, right? We're speaking to a very important session that tends to have effects even across our life circle, across our lifetimes. What am I talking about? Women and girls in science. There is no better time to speak about it, and there is not too much speaking about women and girls, because it is indeed a very critical part of our everyday life, from women being our mothers, our sisters, our friends, our wives, partners in progress, for the shared values that we talk about. And so it becomes more critical for a country that is still being regarded as a developing country. How do we scale development? How do we become that developed country? How do we move to that point where in the Committee of Nations we are respected? We may have all our plans planned out, but if we are not having these partners in progress, it becomes a challenge we may never win. So therefore, it is quite critical to see how we want to, from having just vision, making that vision become impactful by bringing our women and our girls, not just for the mouth service of it, but from actionable plan with impactful outcome. We want to see a Nigeria, indeed an Africa, where women are not just seen and not heard, but women are heard, women are seen, and women are leading the charge. And with the team, we have amazing women to speak about it. When Akpan was welcoming them, it was quite beautiful to see. And so, from the board of SP Abuja, we want to say welcome to everyone who is on this call. Welcome to our amazing speaker. Welcome to our moderators. Thank you, D&I committee chair, Farida. You are doing so amazing. The program chair and every member of the board of SP Abuja. We want to say, let's have this session, and let's not just have this session for having sake. Let's translate whatever we have here into actionable plan, carrying everyone, every girl, everyone who indeed is a player, carrying them along, and also remembering collaboration would help us win. And because STEM, to me, is the bedrock of whatever development we want to achieve, and our women who does it better than them. So thank you and welcome everyone.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Engineer Ikechukwu Okafor, for that very insightful welcome address. Of course, you heard from our section chair, the theme for today's event, from vision to impact, redefining STEM by closing the gender gap. By impact, what do we mean? Impact, we mean results. Impact is more girls choosing engineering without hesitation. Impact is more women leading AI research, energy innovation, and boardroom decisions. Impact is measurable change. Of course, our very next speaker is a woman of impact. Of course, she is a global advocate amplifying the voices and visibility of women across industries. The acting deputy country representative of UN Women Nigeria, who will be given the goodwill message. Of course, she currently serves as acting deputy country reps in UN Nigeria, where she also functions as head of program, providing strategic leadership and technical oversight. She leads UN Women's normative engagement with government, strengthening legislation, policies, and development frameworks in line with international gender equality standards. She also supports UN STEM-wide gender mainstreaming efforts and serves as convener and secretarial lead of the Development Partners Group on Gender in Nigeria, promoting coordination and policy coherence. She actively advances UN women's engagement with civil society organizations, women's group, professional bodies, faith-based organizations, youth and mentorship networks, and other key stakeholders. She has been instrumental in designing and implementing innovative programs targeting young people, both in and out of school, those in technology and innovation spaces, and populations often left behind, including women and girls living with disabilities, women living with HIV, widows, and other marginalized group. Early in her career, Patience led several community and facility-based programs, reaching thousands of women and girls in remote communities across Nigeria, leading to positive impact and transformation. She has also had managed and coordinated several landmark researches and training hubs that influence and inspire gender across sectors. Her vision is to see a world where a world where girls and boys live in dignity and coexistence as equal partners in sustainable development. Ladies and gentlemen, please, with a virtual round of applause, let's welcome the acting deputy country rep for UN Women Nigeria, Patience Ekewa, for her real message. Over to you, ma'am, and welcome to the call, ma'am.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for inviting UN Women to be part of this very important convening. We feel very happy. We feel very blessed to be part of this. So let me start by, first of all, thanking the section chair, Engineer Ikechukwu Okafor, for who is actually steering the leadership for this. I want to thank you and all your board members for inviting us. We feel very honored to be part of this. Let me also recognize all the resource persons that you have brought together for this meeting. We feel very privileged to also be here to listen to various perspectives that are going to be shared today. So thank you very much. And of course, our very active participant, thank you for joining. We hope that we'll be able to exchange learning. We'll be able to exchange perspectives that will better women in tech, engineering, and mathematics. So I'll bring you greetings from the country rep of UN Women, who is the principal officer for the UN Women and ECOWAS, Madam Beatrice Young. She would have loved to be here herself, but she also has other very important engagements. So she asked me to represent her at this meeting. I also bring you greetings from all the team members, of course, of UN Women. All we do and breathe is women, girls. That is all that brings us to our work every day. So it's always a privilege to be able to be in a gathering where the issues of women and girls are being discussed, especially for an important sector like this. So let me thank the Society of Petroleum Engineers for convening this very important meeting, and it's a pleasure for us to be giving this goodwill. To underscore the fact that energy sector sits at the center of Nigeria economic transformation, industrial competitiveness, and climate transition. As we navigate energy security, carbonization, digitalization, and technology innovation, the question is no longer whether we need talents or we are fully leveraged talents available to us globally. Women make up only about 35% of STEM students and less than 30% of researchers. In engineering and energy-related fields, the number are even lower. In Nigeria, women account for roughly 1/5 of engineering graduates and approximately 15% of registered engineers. And I know that you know the statistics better than us. As senior technical and executive, of course, at senior technical executive level in the petroleum sector, representation also dips. We know that it is much lower. This is not a marginal gap, it's a structural imbalance in one of the most strategic sector. And you will agree with me that petroleum is a very strategic aspect of our lives, and not having women equitably represented raises a lot of concern. And so closing this gap in STEM is not going to just be symbolic. It should help us look at how we navigate economic science and other strategic areas of our lives. When we speak about moving from vision to impact, we must be honest about what redefining STEM truly means and what is required. It is not enough for girls to enroll in science classes. It is not enough to recruit a handful of women engineers. It is not enough to celebrate women in science once in a year. But real promotion means dismantling structural barriers in recruitment, in retention, in promotion, and leadership pathways. It means examining who receives high-value technical assistant, who leads major projects, who is sponsored into executive roles, and whose expertise is recognized in decision-making spaces. Redefining STEMs means transforming institution, culture, policy systems, and not simply just inserting women into structures, but also ensuring that they are there and they are meaningfully contributing. We often hear about the pipeline problem, and indeed, we must continue to invest in girls' STEMs education, particularly in underserved communities. We must continue to look at issues of scholarship, mentorship, ensure that we explore engineering career and making sure that there are technical and digital skills training for women and girls who actually need this. We also know that the issue of the leaking pipeline is there. Women leave the STEM career at disproportionately higher rate due to biases, isolation, limited sponsorship, inflexible working policies, and in some cases, unsafe or exclusionary environments. Entry without retention is not progress. And I think we need to take that seriously. Getting women to be there is not enough, but making sure that they are retained and they are able to achieve their full potential is so important. So representation without advancement is not transformational. And if we are serious about the impact that we want to make, we must not only focus on the assets that we provide, but we must look at issues of retention, promotion, leadership, and board level representation. There's also a compelling business case that cannot be ignored. Diverse STEMs are more innovative and better equipped to solve complex technical challenges in the energy sector. We're managing climate change, energy transition, pressures, technological disruption, and heightened investor scrutiny around environmental and social governance. Gender diversity strengthens resilience. It improves decision-making. It reduces groupthink and enhances governance performance as well. Companies that prioritize diversity often demonstrate stronger long-term financial outcomes and reputational strength. Closing gender gap in STEM is therefore not a social concession. It is a strategic advantage that strengthens competitiveness and sustainability. I want to believe that everybody attending this actually, appreciates what we're saying here. Nigeria stands at a pivotal moment As one of Africa's largest oil producer and a country navigating both energy expansion and transition, we cannot design the future of our energy system with only half of our population. Unfortunately, we find this almost across all sectors. When you talk about governance, women are not there. We still have less than 5% of women in the house of, in both houses of assembly, which is really, really sad. So women are consumers of energies, they are entrepreneurs, they are innovators, they are community leaders, and of course, unfortunately, they are disproportionately affected by energy poverty and climate shock. So when women participate meaningfully in technology regulations and the rest of it, the energy ecosystems becomes better. So we have to continue to do everything we can to ensure that women are not just add-on, but they are meaningfully participating. I now go to UN Women. As UN Women, our mandate is to advance gender equality and women's empowerment through structural and institutional change. In Nigeria, we support the institutionalization of gender-responsive planning and budgeting across federal and state ministries, department agencies, influencing significant public expenditure towards gender equality priority. We partner with the private sector through the Women Empowerment Principle. This is a principle that we've been promoting so much among the private sector. And part of doing that is we're encouraging companies to promote women's leadership, ensure equal pay for equal work value, create safer and respectful workplaces, and invest in education and training for women and girls in STEM. We advocate for zero tolerance for harassment in the workplace because we also believe this is a big problem. And also making sure that especially in male-dominated sectors such as the energy sector, we also support mentorship and sponsorship of women in these ecosystems to make sure that women are able to meaningfully contribute and are able to reach their potential. As we consistently push for accountability through sex disaggregated data, because what gets measured gets managed. Our commitment is long-term and rooted in partnership with government, industry, academy, and of course, associations like yours to make sure that we're able to achieve long-term goals and for our women and our girls. Moving from commitment to accountability require measurable action. Industry leaders can set clear targets for women's representation at technical and executive level and track progress transparently. Companies can audit recruitment, deployment, and promotion system to identify and admit biases. Leadership can institutionalize sponsorship programs that actively open doors for women into higher impact roles. Organizations must ensure safe, inclusive work environment, including field operations and remote sites. Commitment must translate into matrix, policy reforms, and cultural change. So the senior leaders in this room, I celebrate all our women. I celebrate your contributions to this sector. And of course, to the younger ones also in the room, we say that we should not be intimidated. We should not allow society to keep us down. We should bring our A game into what we do and making sure that we're able to contribute meaningfully to this sector, which we believe, in fact, is one of the most important sectors in Nigeria. In closure, I'd like to say that redefining STEM is not about, we shouldn't just be talking about, it's good to talk about incremental change, but we also need to know that what the kind of change we should be pushing for should be structural, should be transformational, should be lasting, and especially if we really, really want to close the gap in STEM. We also need to know that there are lots of frameworks that are there, that helps to push for women in STEM. And by the way, for the last 3 years, both at the Commission on the Status of Women that comes up annually, during International Women's Day, during the 16 days of activism, the issue of technology has continued to take center stage. And we know that everything we do now must be driven by technology. And we cannot exclude half of our population. So we must do everything within our measure. We must ensure that there's investment to make sure that women are able to contribute to this sector as meaningfully as they can. Thank you so much once again for inviting us, and we'll be glad to contribute to other aspects of the conversation. Thank you, and thank you very much.
Wow, that was phenomenal. Ladies and gentlemen, that was, of course, the acting deputy country representative of UN Women Nigeria, Patience Koba, sharing all of her ideas and thoughts and what the UN Women has been doing to champion this cause. I think you should give her some virtual applause. You should give her some virtual applause. And of course, as a woman, I believe you've also picked some very important points where you have to focus on. We cannot exclude half of our population in the tech conversation, which is already taking center stage. We cannot exclude women. Like she said, over 5% of women are less than 5% are represented in both of the House of Assembly. These are very, very sad points and side ideas. And I think, and I hope that these events can help our leaders do more in this part. Thank you so much, ma'am. And we can't wait to hear more from you as you speak during the panel discussion. Please, let's give her some visual applause once again. Thank you, ma'am. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll switch gears immediately to moving and handing over to our moderator, who would manage today's panel session. I know you may be asking, who is this moderator? Of course, her profile is on the screen, and I'll be reading it shortly because, oh, amazing. Well, we are about to introduce our moderator. We'd like to announce the presence of the council, the immediate past council chairman of SPE Nigeria, who just joined the call. I'd like to welcome Engineer Amina Den Madami, PhD, on the call. Welcome, ma'am, and thank you for joining us, ma'am.
Thank you, Apan.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Thank you. The first female to ever do it. Thank you, ma'am. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, our moderator is a lead business development unit of Cypher Crescent, Lagos, and Africa. Prior to this, she worked as a geoscientist and head of technical sales with a subsurface service company in Nigeria for 8 years. She is quite versatile in business development and geosciences in the oil and gas industry. Her 13 years experience spans across exploration, production, and commercialization of oil and gas, with a strong interest in business strategy and digital technology solutions for asset management. Working in the oil and gas industry, Onome has developed a creative strategy with strong interpersonal and communication skills, with the ability to see the big picture to facilitate the key decision-making processes, ensuring growth and revenue generation. She has worked extensively with multidisciplinary teams ranging from asset evaluation to FDP and business development team. She is also passionate about stakeholder engagement in market expansion. Onome has a BSc in geology, an MSc in applied geophysics, and obtains an MBA from Lagos Business School. She is married with 2 children, an active member of Society of Petroleum Engineers, NAPI, and Women in Energy Network, WIEN. Ladies and gentlemen, my pleasure it is to welcome our moderator for today, who would introduce her panelists, the lead business development units, Cypher Crescent Limited, Lagos and Africa, Onome Jonathan Olarotimi. Over to you, amazing moderator.
Thank you very much, Apan. It's so much of a pleasure to be here. I'm excited. I'm happy, and I mean, I'm so happy and excited as well. Thank you very much. We've done a lot of introduction of all the distinguished personnel that we have in the house. Specifically, I would want to really appreciate and give all the executive honor to the past council chair, Engineer Hamina Damadi, who just came in. Thank you very much. And then also to Madam Patience Ekab Oba, who came in from the UN as well. I really welcome you, and then all distinguished panelists, the council, the section chair of Abuja SP section 199. I also give you the necessary accolades. Thank you for having us. Thank you for putting this together. Our honorable moderator, and also standing on existing protocols. I do apologize if I missed out anyone. So thank you very much for having me, distinguished participants, guests, everyone watching virtually. It's so good to be here. It's a privilege to be a moderator, and I hope to drive this conversation with the distinguished personnel's panelists that we have today. They're going to be bringing us light. So yeah, so I will be sharing their profile, and it's interesting to say that this topic for STEM, it's a very passionate one, very something that is really dear to me and dear to most of us as well. It's not gender restrictive, it's for everyone to listen, and over the years we've discussed this gender gap for years, and most importantly today we're going to be moving from vision to execution. And into this panel session with my distinguished speakers, they're going to be sharing a lot of insights. Trust me, you have the best set of panelists, and it's going to be engaging because we'll bring the participants on board as well. And while we talk about how kind of looking at the theme of today's event, which is very, very a very good one, from vision to impact, redefining STEM. So we are also going to be looking at what must change in policy, what must change in institutions and our industry. We have representatives from different fields here, and then how can this produce measurable impact in the next 5 to 10 years? There's been story about ladies starting up their life very early. We have a lot of female coming, getting to the university, narrow down the ladder, but why are they so few when when it gets to the higher level terrain? Are we going to be looking at what are the structural barriers, are the family barriers? So these are the issues that we'll be discussing today. And I really, really want to appreciate every one of you for tuning in at a very, very good time as well, and for also being timely. We'll try to make good use of our time, but I can promise it's going to be very, very engaging. And also to let you know that today, as we commemorate the International Day of Women and Girls in Science, we are not simply observing a date on the calendar, we are also confronting the design challenge. We must be inclusive, and inclusion must be very intentional. In the world, I think I was looking at the data in the world for this meeting, ahead of this meeting, and I mean, it's very obvious women make up less than a third of the STEM workforce. In engineering, energy, technology sectors, the numbers are even lower, yet talent is not scarce. The issue is not talent, intelligence is not scarce either, ambition is not scarce. So what are the issues? So it's not just a diversity issue, it's an innovation issue. It has to be a productive issue, it's an economic issue as well. And in areas like energy space, where most of us play, the majority in the SPE space as well, it's more of a sustainability issue. How can this be sustained over years when half of the population is underrepresented in designing solutions? We limit the scope of our innovation and the scale of our impact. So for today, without saying too much, I would introduce our speakers who will be diving into this. They will dissect the topic, they will go deep dive, and they will really walk us through it. So in the course of their discussion, I'm sure they will want to share personal stories as well. They want to relate it with their different field. They want to share data. They will talk us through what the vision is, what the structural barriers are, what can be done in the course of this, how can we achieve our vision, 2035. Let's see, how can we redefine STEM in a very possible way. On that note, I will start by introducing my first speaker. Thank you very much for honoring the invitation. Yes, so my first speaker is Ifeyiwa Okafor, Mrs. Ifeyiwa Okafor. Is that okay? She's the lead asset and facilities management of Lagos Regional Office, NUPRC. She's an IT professional. She's a certified management consultant, a transformational leader with over 18 years of experience in technology and infrastructure. and then public sector innovation. So currently, she serves as the head of asset and facilities management at the Lagos Regional Office of NUPRC. She leads operational strategy and infrastructural governance and cross-functional initiatives that support Nigeria's energy regulatory framework. Over the course of her career, she has led major IT modernization projects, improved system reliability up to 99% uptime. She's driven digital transformational initiatives across multiple offices nationwide. Her work sits at the intersection of technology, governance, and system design, demonstrating how STEM leadership translates vision into measurable impact. Beyond this corporate role, she's also passionate about increasing female representation and sustainability in STEM. She's an active member of bodies such as Women in Management, Business and Public Service, that's WIMBIS. She serves as an advisory board, supports women in technology, and mentors young women navigating science and technology careers. She's also the founder of Thrive 360 International and co-founder of Digital Parenting School, platforms focused on empowering women and families to thrive in a digital world. She's a wife, she's a mother of four. She brings both professional depth and lived experience to her advocacy for women and girls in STEM. Through leadership, mentorship, and advocacy, IFISH champions a future where women and girls are not only present in STEM, but positioned to lead and innovate and shape policy. Welcome, Ifeyiwa Okafo. It's so nice to meet you with your heavy profile. Thank you. I love what you do, and I'm so happy to have you. Please, can you unmute your mic and say hello to the house?
Hello, everyone. Good morning. It's an honor and a privilege to be here today, speaking about a topic that is very dear to my heart. I'm a woman. I had a mom. I have two girls, and my dream is a dream where the girls are allowed to do whatever they need to do and bring whatever they can to the table without it seeming like it's a leg up or some assistance. Like Madam Patience said earlier, we're a world with about 50% of the females. And so, why are we not tapping into that huge resource? I'll stop here and we'll talk more when we start the conversation. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you. Yes, there's a lot to unbox. So before we go deep dive, before we divulge everything, let's welcome the rest of our panelists. So I'm going to be introducing the next panel. And yes, I'm coming back to you. I probably will start with you, right? So keep your thoughts, don't lose it. Thank you. So next on my panel decks is okay, so they mixed it up. This should be Professor so Julius Emodia here, not profile of Ifeanyiwa. Okay, so that's fine. And then it's really tiny, so I'm going to zoom in. Okay, so please, do you mind sharing Professor Juliet's profile? Professor Juliet's profile. Okay, so Professor Juliet is the current Dean School of Postgraduate Studies, and she's also the immediate past director and Directorate of Strategic Plan and Implementation, as well as the former head of Department of Earth Sciences, Geology and Geophysics. We have something in common. At the Federal University of Petroleum Resources, FOR. She lectures and supervises undergraduate and postgraduates of geology and geophysics students. She also serves as a Master of Universities Supervised Governing Council. She holds a PhD in Exploration Applied Geophysics from the University of Port Harcourt and an MSc Exploration Geophysics from University of Benin. She's a postgraduate of Diploma in Education from Delta State University, Abraka, and a BSc Honours in Applied Geophysics, Ambrizali University, with over 25 years of professional experience in geosciences. She's a council, she's also a Council of Mining Engineers and Geoscientists, COMEG. Area of specialization includes seismic data interpretation, well logging, groundwater seismic environment, and HSC. She's worked with the Geoscience Solution Department of the Shell Petroleum Development Company, SPDC, in both Port Harcourt, Warri, as a research geosciences. She's involved in 3D seismic data interpretation. In addition, she served as consultant to several multinational and indigenous companies, including End Western for Hydrocarbon, Heritage, and a whole lot. Experience spans multiple Niger Delta projects focusing on seismic data. Ah, please permit me to jump to the last paragraph. She is a reviewer of several. She's a reviewer of several journals, including it's a whole lot, and she's revealed multiple national and international awards in recognition of authority and professional ambience. Beyond academic, Professor Julius is a deacon. She's a deaconess with the Redeemed Christian Church of God. She's happily married and blessed with 4 children, a biomedical engineer, a lawyer, and a chemical engineer and a software engineer. Wow. In her leisure time, she enjoys reading, watching documentaries and traveling. I'm sorry I had to just jump that. She's a whole lot, and I think we have the right person in the audience. So please, a virtual round of applause for Professor Juliet. Juliet, I know her profile is highly good for our event. Thank you. So next on my panel list is another very heavy profiled panelist is Professor Rashidat Funke Olariwaju. Okay, so I'll take this very quickly. Professor Rashidat, okay, before I call Professor Rashidat, Professor Julius, please can you turn on your camera and say hello to the house? Just one opening remark will be fine. Yes, she's the one with the heavy profile and four highly.
Thank you so much, Jonathan. Thank you. Good morning to everyone. And it's nice for Abuja chapter having me. I'm really impressed for Abuja to have brought this up during this D&I event. And I believe the speakers, all of us will do justice to it. Thank you so much. And I believe we'll see where we'll get to where we'll not be having this talk again because it will be all implemented. That the girl child, the female gender will be able to have the space that is required for us. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that opening statement. We'll still give it more in details. And I really love what she said. This should not be the discussion for the coming 5 years, 10 years, because we would have gone past this because it's not just a talk thing. It's going to be an impactful session. So thank you. So next is Professor Rashidat Funke Olariwaju. She's a professor of science and AI at Nasarawa State University. So she's the first female professor of computer science at Nasarawa State University. She holds a BSc in software engineering from University of Putra, Malaysia, MSc and PhD in computer and information engineering from International Islamic University, Malaysia. Academic career spans artificial intelligence, software engineering, humanitarian engineering, and technology-driven entrepreneurship, with a sustained record of contributions to teaching, research, and institutional development. She's the director of Entrepreneurship Development Center at NSUK, where she leads the integration of digital innovation, AI enhanced training, and enterprise development into the university's entrepreneurship framework. She also serves as deputy director of the Open and Distance e-learning center and head of the Intelligent Software Engineering Group Research Group. Professor Olariwaju played a key role as team lead for the NSUK post UTME digital screening project, overseeing the successful deployment of AI superior admission processing system that improve transparency and operational efficiency. She supervised several PhD and MSc candidates completion and has published extensively in reputable international journals, textbook, book chapters. Her research activities covers AI-driven fintech, secure computing, educational technologies, humanitarian digital. She's also the founder of Radiant Ray Exclusive and Women Lifeline International and contributes to global scholarly and professional committees as a senior member of IEEE Women in Engineering and a member of IET. And a whole lot, allow me use the word, and the Malaysia Society of Cryptology Research. She also serves on the editorial board on this and continues to engage in national and international representations on AI, innovation, and entrepreneurship. And so I apologize if I missed any part of it, but I think we got most of it. Thank you, Professor Rashida, for honoring this invitation. You're mostly welcome. Thank you very much. Can we get a word from you? Yeah. Please, a round of
Yeah,
applause for
thank you
her.
very much, everyone. Thank you, our moderator. I work as like intersection of artificial intelligence and digital entrepreneurship, as well as humanitarian engineering. So where I actually look at STEM into positioning ladies, especially ladies. I work with them a lot, and I'm seeing it as now we can distribute the talent equally among our folks around. Thank you for having me.
Okay, thank you very much, my honorable panelists. So we can dive into the crux of the matter. And one more panelist we have who gave the opening speech. She'll be sharing her open contributions to it as well. Is Madam Patience Ekilba. She's also on our panel today. She'll be sharing insights from the UN perspective of girls, women and girls in STEM. So we'll take your contribution. She said a whole lot during her opening remark, but we can make more use of her expertise. While our panelists are talking, sharing their insights, please feel free to share your questions and comments and contributions on the chat. Once we have a little break, we'll take some of the questions as well. It's going to be engaging. It's going to be very interactive. There's no boxed question here. There's no AI question here. It's more like a heart-to-heart discussion, how we can move from vision to impact. Let's be very realistic here. Let's be very relational, you know. So I can start with myself. I'm a lead in STEM as well. And I've been in sciences almost all my life, over 20 something years of my life. I mean, that's why I said I have something in common with Professor Juliet. You know, started with geology, did geophysics, and worked mainly in the male dominated environment. So I can understand what gender inequality is. So it's where you have to not struggle, but where you have to be very intentional about making your voice heard, where you have to do sometimes twice as much as the opposite gender will do, where you have to prove yourself at every point that you're actually as competent as the other people and you deserve what they're being given other people as well. So, in the first question, why should this even be a debate? Why are we the minority? Why the stereotype? Is there a bias? Is it a family background thing, like ladies should do things that has to do with female? Is there anything like actually female causes or female, female tradition or something? So these are the issues. How, and if we recognize the visual and issues, if we recognize these issues and we know what the vision is, then it's easy for us to now start making suggestions like this is how we can close the gaps. This is where we can, close the room. I would start up with Professor Juliet here. So, I mean, I'm happy when I read your profile, and I know that that was really very, very distinct. You must have been very intentional. All this position, all this career, you leading the dean of faculty in this high profile universities didn't just come at one day. It came at a price. It came at intentionality. And I know that for you to, I can imagine when you want to take pictures in your faculty or all those places, you'll probably be like one or two minority females out of a whole lot of people. You probably must be used to that as well. So do you want to tell us what is the real vision? How did we get here? Why the minority? What was a stereotype? Was there bias? Just share the vision, more like your opening remarks to this. Yeah.
Okay, so thank you so much, and thank you everyone once again. Thank you to the Abuja session, and thank you to SP for handling this. So normally it's not easy. When you go to the field of engineering, sciences, and all that, it's not easy. Like if I go back to my school days, my undergraduate days, we were like 75 in the class, about 14 ladies. When I was doing my master's, we were about 35, and I was the only lady. When it was my PhD, we were like about 15, 20, and I was the only lady. So in my department currently, geophysics, I'm the only lady. So it's a normal thing. I'm sure those in engineering, those in sciences, they experience those things. But what I want to say is that for ladies, it's good to talk about the girl child, the female gender, and all that. But we must also prepare that our preparedness must be there to meet opportunities. So when opportunity comes, we are prepared. So it's not like opportunity comes and we are not prepared. Then when we have that socket, then the discussion can really flow. I know most of us, most of the ladies are daring. They want to do even more than what any man can do. But how many ladies are that daring? That is the thing. So we need to be able to see how that works. I see how we can encourage the young ones that are coming behind us. Like from the academic perspective, no, I work closely with the industry also because I consult for the industry widely. Looking at the gender gap in STEM, it's not just a talent issue because I believe God gives everybody a talent. Everybody is talented in one area or the other, but it's a system thing. So, like for instance, now you see, we have gone out. SP does that, NAPE does that. Or we're going out to secondary schools to be able to give them that I would have exposure on time to say it's good as a get child, as a child, early to come into the sciences, come into engineering, and we have a talk with them and all that to be able to push this out. We do that on a regular basis, on annual basis. And when we do that, what is the essence of that? So that they will be able to see, oh, I'm a girl, I can't take this course, it's so difficult, or I will not be able to excel, or when I get the family background, I will not do well. No, we need to be able to take down that narrative, and most of them have that narrative. This week, I was somewhere, I was in UI this week, and I met with somebody, and the person was telling me, oh, this person said he wanted to be a neurosurgeon. And I said, you are not going to be able to do this and that. Why will you be able to, why are you claiming to just go to that direction? And somehow along the line, the person just got discouraged and like, fine, it's true, you are correct, I can't do this. And you have to switch line, which is not supposed to be. So we must be daring and be passionate for what we do. So if somebody can get there as a man, we too can get there even more. And I'm sure that ladies have even tried the positions that ladies hold. I think most of them, I will not say 100%, I don't have the statistics, but most of them, they do extremely well. That you know, a woman is handling this field or handling this position, they do well. And I believe with that, others are also that are coming behind, they'll be able to see that, okay, fine, if they can do it, I can do it also. So in engineering and petroleum discipline, for instance, especially representation, we use this when we move up the ladder. We have noticed that. So they can start over, even at times in school, they start, and at times you see them crossing over to other departments, which is not supposed to be, for one reason or the other. But most of them still hold on. So we want to see that actually where we see fewer women in tech and all that. Today now we're having tech everywhere, but what is the percentage of ladies involved in tech? What is the percentage? It's
Thank
very
you,
few
Professor
compared to
Gillette. Yeah, I know
compared to
we
the men.
have a
So
whole lot to
thank you so
say.
much. Thank you.
Yes. Yes, we didn't start out too well with time, so we're going to be trying very hard to be brief. But to be very sincere, I really appreciate the point that you made. You started off saying that preparedness must be met with opportunities. So it's not an excuse, it's not a privilege that they give to females. They have to, that awareness have to come in early. No stereotypes. You have to let the girl child know that they can do this and they will be there. So your message was really quite clear, and we really appreciate your contribution. And I mean, I also like the story that you shared about you not being intimidated by being the only female in across your educational career as a group. So thank you for sharing that. I'll move on to Professor Rashidat. I'll come back to you, Ify, 1 second. Yes. So, Professor Rashidat, you've done so well for yourself. Your profile is quite very interesting, and it's also the kind of gap that we're looking to close. But I can understand that while you're building your profile as you go up the ladder, there were structural barriers that young ladies are like, I mean, they always get to a point whereby they'll say, can I go on? Can I just take it up here? Because we read your profile. In all of this, you're married, you have kids, you have everything. So how were you able, what are the structural barriers that you identify while going up the ladder? How were you able to manage these barriers? I mean, in addition to your opening speech, if you want to share anything, I will appreciate if we try to make it as very succinct as possible, brief because of our time. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, the coordinator of this panel. To me, I think structural barrier, possibly maybe because of where we are currently, all over the world, I believe female climbing the ladder is a little bit difficult than the male counterparts. But where I was trained in Malaysia, I see it a little bit different from what I'm experiencing in Nigeria. It's not because we don't have the ability, okay? The evidence is actually clear. We have a cognitive capacity, okay? The minority status that exists is because here our historical design is without that female structure. I would say quote and unquote, okay? One of it is early socialization. Uh, I started from very, very, very local primary school, and I see that it's female that are less in the class. And when they want to mark the register for present and absent, the female is marked with red and male is marked with blue or black. So I see this early socialization to be a narrow imagination. So that's already a kind of structure or a kind of barrier that makes the female think a kind of narrow or minority. And then also institutional pipelines, they are also very narrow. But to me, I see it as a kind of a challenge right from when I was young, that I always want to challenge my brothers. That okay, I want to do what you are doing also. So I think that's what actually bring me into this leadership structural visibility. Yes. So when I have access to sponsorship, to representation, I don't hesitate. I just, but for sure, there are a lot of barriers, a lot of structure, especially if you're not bold to stand up, to, I mean, work for yourself. So what I always put in mind is like, whether I'm being called or not, I have something to say. So I have to stand up and say it. I think this has actually helped me in that overcoming that structural barrier. And another thing I always look at is I look at giving female the opportunity because we are already in a male-dominated, I mean, system. So giving them the opportunity by supporting. I remember when I was in Malaysia, I have a one lady. Her name is Aina. I quickly give you this. She's she's the most intelligent lady in the class, but she's very quiet. So whenever I train student this semester, I'll pick from the student that I feel they can do better, take them to be the demonstrator for next semester. So I pointed to her, Aina, can you be my demonstrator? She said, no, madam, I can't. I said, no, you can do it. I said, I'm going to support you. You know, because of that, a kind of barrier, she comes to my office. She will do everything. She'll do the coding. I will just tell her, I want it to be like this. She'll make it. But the thing is, the funniest thing is the male that is represented in the class. So we give it to Shafiq. Shafiq is the demonstrator in the class, but Aina does all the coding. She does all the system. She does everything in my office. So one of my own way to encourage this young coming lady in especially in STEM is to see how we can bring them together and a kind of mentorship to them. So the structural barrier, I think by doing so, we can actually break that barrier. And of course, with this era of AI, so we can have a kind of invisible or virtual assistance, which is what I've been doing currently. Maybe later if I will share on Nora X. Nora X, she's my twin sister, virtual assistant. So she helped me and she's a female. So she's doing a lot of things. She's a robot with soul. Yeah, she's into a lot of humanitarian engineering. And the vision is just simple. We want to normalize girls as architect of intelligent system, not exception in the room. So we are all in it together. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Rashida. That was very apt, very, very spot on. Thank you so much. And I hear you say one of the structural barriers that came out clearly to me is lack of the right mentorship, and then they are not having the right encouragement. The ladies in academic, maybe because they feel like they're minorities. So we need more encouragement for ladies. We need them to be more outspoken. We need them to be more mentored and sponsored as well. I mean, you were able to go all the way because you already had the mindset from your time that you could do what your brothers were doing or what any man could do. So you challenged yourself. However, it doesn't stop the barriers from being there, and then you're willing, but you had to go out of your comfort zone to help the young lady who was isolated, who would always walk behind the scene. You had to bring her to the spotlight and say, this is where you belong, this is your talent, and you need to show it out to the world. And by doing so, more ladies are encouraged to follow that same pattern. So thank you for that intentional effort. We are hoping that you could do that for more ladies as well. And then let's see how we can also be intentional to bring in more ladies as well. Yes, so thank you very much. Yes, I look forward to your virtual assistant. You're going to show us before the end of this program when I come back to you. Thank you. So next is Ifeokafo. Yes, Ifeanyiwa, thank you so much. Now we're going to the government route, but this is not on government basis. This is on you as Ifeanyiwa Okafor, working in a male-dominated environment, working in a government parastatus, and also having your own personal thing that has to do with women, and then you also belonging to the Wimbies Association as well. And most interestingly, when we had our chit chat privately while we were preparing for the session, you told me about the article you're writing for the mid-career women. I want you to share your objective about it and how will that close the gap, the gender gap? How will that bring in more inclusion? What impact will that have in today's ladies' world? So let's hear from you, Ife. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Once again, good afternoon, guests, good afternoon, executives, and my fellow panelists. Thank you, Onome, for the opportunity to talk about this. So I'm actually putting up an article called "The Mid-Career Cliff for Women is a Load Problem and Not a Confidence Problem." Now, what does the mid-career cliff, what is it about? The first thing we need to understand is that in the workforce today, Madam Patience mentioned it when she gave her opening speech, that when we employ, more often than not, we employ at about similar rates, 50, 40%, give or take. But then attrition begins to set in as women rise. And by the time we get to the mid-career managerial level, it drops, that's the number of women at managerial level drops significantly. And one begins to wonder what's going on. Is it that the women are not ambitious enough? Is it that they're not confident that they can lead? But it's actually not any of that. There are a number of things that come to play when as a woman, rises in the workforce. And when I say workforce, I mean any workforce, any country. The first thing is the broken ladder concept, which is that by the time you begin to get to managerial role, because of natural perceptions and biases, where we think that the women are not able for whatever reasons, whether it's home front, whether it's presumed capacity. We have a statistics by Forbes that says that for every 100 men that are promoted at managerial level, only 81 women are promoted. So already you have that 19% gap, right? And then you now have the fact that Gallup has come up with a report that says that in the managerial capacity, the engagement, the tension is beginning to rise so much so that managers are bearing so much responsibility, they're not engaging as much. So you have that. And then for women specifically, about the time when they become managers or they rise to that level, you find that their personal responsibility also explodes. So what does that look like? They either have young children or teenage children who require their attention. They have elder care responsibilities because guess what? When parents need care, the first child who will be called upon is the woman. It will be assumed that it's the woman that will assume that responsibility. Yes, the men can fund it, but the woman assumes the hands-on responsibility. You also have the fact that women do most of the school interfacing, be it primary school, secondary school, university. This as well as the fact that the woman has her own dreams, which she probably subsumed to take on all those roles, fit into the workplace, comes to a point where the woman begins to question herself. Is it worth continuing? I mean, I had a conversation with somebody not too long ago, and a lady was indicating the fact that she was thinking of, stopping her 9 to 5. She's a manager in one of the global organizations. And another lady beside her said, you know what? That I think it's a fantastic idea because you have teenage children. And contrary to what many people believe, teenage children are the ones that need their parents hands-on, especially their mothers. And she says if she could do it again, she would have dropped off at that point. So you see, the pressure is coming from everywhere. The home, workplace, your fellow women, the children, everything. And so this all contributes to what we call the mid-career cliff. So does it mean that nothing can be done about it? No, a lot can be done about it. And that's what I actually want to showcase, which is that the workforce, we need to begin to change the structure of our modern day workforce, the workforce in 2026. It's not just even about the women, it's also about, human energy sustainability. I sit on an advisory board that talks about that kind of data. We need to start to begin to realize that with tech in place, there's a lot more we can do in the workplace without burning out or giving our human beings excessive wear and tear, most especially the women. We need to also realize as women that as you begin to rise in your system, you need to put in place structures that ensure that you can stay in that system. What's your support system like? What's your life's design like that ensures that you can withstand the additional pressure, right? And we need to also, as women, stop being apologetic for, and I dare say it, we need to stop being apologetic for being given a place in the room. You find that when you see women at management, they are mostly in fight mode or gratitude mode. They don't assume and accept that they are here. And therefore, what is happening is you see a lot of women who are at the top still fighting when you've already won, so to speak. You see that you find women who are either also at the top, just grateful to be at the top. You don't have that balance. And the men see it and sense it. And that is why they begin to say, if we bring another woman here, she'll come with all her women empowerment thing because she's in fight mode, or she's not bringing a lot of contribution to the room because she's in gratitude mode. And our younger girls are seeing it and are not encouraged by it. So what am I saying in essence? Women, while we fight for equity, which means that give us the space, you also need to prepare that when you do get that chance, that you make the very best of it. You ensure that the men know that a woman is in the room, not because they have to make room for you, but because you're bringing a perspective that they are not born with, they are not blessed with. They need to know that when this woman steps into this space, she's formidable. Not formidable because as a woman, but formidable as an individual. And we need to also be able to make sure we don't drop the ball in other spaces that we exist just because we're taking up the managerial roles. So, ladies, my contribution here is to shed that light on that mid-career cliff. If you're not yet at that point, begin to think about it and how you will ensure that you will not be a statistic. For those who are running the industries, the workspaces, women form 50% of the world's population. Fact. So why do you want to lose 50% of your workforce that you've invested money, time, resources because we didn't have a structure that could properly support that workforce? And yeah, I will leave that food for thought for all of us.
If you've actually shaken the tables.
That's my work, man.
Absolutely. And we love it for that. Yeah. So thank you very much. Yes. So I feel like you've really challenged a lot of ladies to be daring, to go for what they want, stop being apologetic about it, and then live ready, be formidable. So those were your words, and I really do commend those words. So I think in that regard, what we can push for more is the awareness, the intentionality, mentorship, just like Professor Rashida said as well, sponsoring these ladies to be all out there. So the idea is it's not like the talents are not there, the competence are not there, but we need to encourage them that go there and stop being grateful for it or stop being apologetic. Take your seat
Mhm.
and then drive the wheels. Match it up with them. Stop looking like at yourself like, oh, I am the lady here, oh, I'm the last one, oh, I'm privileged to be among all the men that are here. No, stop. You change the mindset, change the narrative, and then you'll see the results coming together. So thank you. And by doing so, we will have more people coming, and then gradually the gaps are closing, and we have more inclusions, and it doesn't become a question of gender anymore, neither male or female, but who is best fit for the job, who is more competent to do the job. Yeah, thank you very much. That was really helpful. If you don't mind, for those who will be interested, you probably want to share a link to your article so we can have a deeper session into it. Do you want to say something? Yeah.
Okay, I'll drop the link to my LinkedIn page. The article will be dropping later today. I actually wanted to delay it till after the session so that we
Brilliant.
don't
Please, a
compete.
round of applause
Yeah,
for Ify. Thank you for
you're
giving us the
welcome.
privilege to be among the first set to read the article publicly and after this event. Thank you so much, Ify. Yeah, so because of our time, we're just going around one more time and then we will be done. So just one from, we'll only take one from our UN panelist, that is Madam Patience Ikilba. And my question to her will be from the UN perspective, how intentional are you about inclusion of girls and women going all the way up to the ladder? I know you're doing a whole lot at the minimal background level, the girl child education, changing the narrative. I heard your mandate and it was really very brilliant. But I don't see, well, my own perspective anyway, I don't see a whole lot at the top level. I mean, when I mean at the top level, I mean from middle career all the way to executive levels and board levels. How intentional is UN to that level, or is your mandate just for the initial girl child coming all the way, taking them all through to university? How does your mandate cut across different fields, more like different industry, from government parastatals, the policy expert, to academic, to industry? Do you want to shed more light on what the UN is doing in that space? And I hope
Yeah,
it's in line with your area.
thank you very
Thank
much. And I really
you.
want to thank you so much. I'd like to thank all these panelists. I have been really, really enriched listening to you. And I celebrate all of you for the strides you have made in your career and even in helping other women to also progress in the same line. So thank you very much. And I'm really inspired by all the stories of resilience, determination, and of course, some of the new perspective, feeling that somebody is doing us any good when we are in those rooms. So thank you very much. I'll speak very quickly about what UN Women does. I think that we have three major approach to our work. The first one is the one we call normative. So we support member states. And when I say member states, we support governments of countries to ensure that there are relevant laws and policies in place. And we do this by making sure that there are international standards, convention, treaties that are there that actually speaks to women's empowerment across all sectors, really. And you will agree with me that conventions and treaties like the CEDAW, the Beijing Declaration and Platform of Action, the Maputo Protocol, the African Charter, these are all conventions on how we can elevate the status of women and girls. Do is to make sure that countries actually domesticate these conventions, these treaties, to be able to drive this process. I will use the Christian balance that says that where there's no law, the people perish. So what we do is to help countries, member states have laws in place that can help to drive what we want to see for women and girls. And of course, whether it has to do with tech, STEM, all of these laws are very inclusive, they are very robust, but sometimes you find out that even though some countries have actually domesticated this and even included it in their national plans and action, implementation becomes a major challenge. So all of these documents I've mentioned and even more have all these very robust provisions of what we need to do to ensure that women are not just, they are not excluded. But how countries implement this is another thing. So all of our normative work, and then I'm sure that you've heard about the Commission on the Status of Women. It's really like a marketplace, and it happens every year in New York. What we do is to bring different countries, several countries actually, every year together to demand accountability. You signed on to this, you signed on to this, you promised to do this, you committed to do this. How are you doing? We actually bring governments to account to be able to say, okay, how are you doing? And of course, there's also a lot of sharing and learning in this. As I speak, preparations are already ongoing to make sure that by March, all of these countries are there in New York, actually accounting for how they're promoting the advancement of women and girls in all sectors of our economy. Another thing we do, and we try to do it well, is coordination. We support issues of gender coordination across sectors. So in the United Nations, for example, in Nigeria, we have over almost 20 agencies who are doing specialized things. UNICEF, WHO, UNIDO, all of these people are doing different things. So UN Women's responsibility is to make sure that we bring them together to demand accountability, to make sure that as they do their specialized engagements, they ensure that women and girls are not left behind. So we coordinate at that level. We have what we call the gender team group. UN Women is also the convener and permanent secretariat for the Development Partner Group on Gender. This group is a multilateral, bilateral group that brings donor organizations, embassies, the EU, for example, all of these organizations in the country, bring them together to also to demand accountability. How are we making sure that as we program, as we invest, the issues of women are not, left behind? And we think that with coordination, we can actually drive a lot of coherence. We can reduce waste and all of this sort of thing. And then the third approach to our work is making sure we have targeted intervention. We call it programs. So, for example, we had to advancing the issue of women participation in governance, whether it is politics at local or middle state level, federal level. We also do a lot of work around driving governance issues for women, even in the private sector, making sure that women are actually, are able to hold their own and, succeed at that level. We do a lot of work around women, peace and security. We do a lot of work around humanitarian actions, especially in places where there's so much issues of, terrorism and the rest of them. We also do a lot around women's economic empowerment. And then also ending violence against women, which is a cross-cutting theme. So to answer your question, we are, we try to look at from policy level to programs, to ensuring that, there are structures, there are processes in place to make sure that women are able to rise. And of course, we don't do this alone. We believe so much in partnership. We work with organizations, networks like the one we're having now, to make sure that these ideas and these ideologies are driven in a way that, it adds up to enhance what women are doing. I'd like to touch on something, which is something almost all the three panelists have spoken about, is about retention of women in whatever, positions of some unfriendly work policies. For example, you have places where they don't have crutches for women who who are nursing their children. They don't have lactation rooms where women can, feed their babies. When we don't have all of these kinds of structures and whatever in place, you find out that women at some point say, okay, I think I just need to I need to quit my career at this point and just go take care of my children, and then later I come back. And you discover that we're way ahead of them. They would have lost a lot of grounds. But we are saying that if we have care policies, children at the same time work, contribute to whatever sector they are in, I think that life will be better for women. But just to also add that women, yes, we want to put all of these things in place, but women themselves need to know that world in the image that we want it, by being determined, by knowing that we don't need anybody to, whatever. It doesn't matter who is trying to pull us down. It doesn't matter the barriers that have been put there. We ourselves need to be determined. And lastly, I'd like to talk about mentorship. I'm so happy with our panelists. I see the next generation. We had a privilege of mentoring about 25 girls some years ago. People who had gone to Beijing, hand-holding these young women to teach them what they heard, to teach, to pass on the torch to them so that they can be able to succeed at what they do. So mentorship is so, so critical, especially in this sector that is currently male-dominated. Those of us who are already doing well, please do not leave the sector until you have recreated your likes. Thank you very much.
Excellent, very brilliant. I mean, you've said a whole lot of initiative. You've shared initiatives that are geared towards giving women visibility in different sectors in life, and I'm really so happy to hear that, and also happy that everyone gets to listen to it. I will just challenge you once more that you connect with all the women here, and let's see how we can leverage that collaboration and partnership to mentor the next generation of women, like you've mentioned. So we shouldn't just leave it at this conversation. Let's take it to the next step. Please feel free to call on any of the women on this platform. Call on myself, call on Ify, Professor Juliet in different space, and let's see how we can be more formidable about it, so it doesn't look like another panel session or another talk show. So thank you, Madam Patience. We really do appreciate all the policies and initiatives that the UN is being intentional to give the girl child visibility. Yeah, so on that note, I would have one. I'll be going around the house because of time. This is a very interesting and detailed session that we probably may not be able to take everything, but we'll do our best to make sure that we cover as little as possible. And for the participants listening, if you have any question, please put it online. We'll probably just take a random two questions and then wrap up with that. So from my own end, before we go into the participants, one final one from Professor Rashidat Funke. My question will be for the girl child. For the girl child is that if we cannot see her, we cannot meet her. So, what is one measurable strategy that you can share that would move the needle? I like the story of the lady you shared in class, that you were intentional about recognizing her efforts and bringing her to the limelight and then getting her to be more vocal. So, beyond that, so my point is, you have risen up the ladder, you've gone through all the barriers, you've been able to overcome it. So my point is, how much visibility can you give to other girl child out there? Because if we do not see her, we do not meet her, we can't know her, we can't meet her. If you haven't taken that intentional effort to recognize her, most of the male folks will be doing the presentation on our own project while she's just timid and working behind the scene. So, what efforts are you making? And then, what measurable impacts can you say that, well, if I can do this for, let's assume my name is Lillian, and the next 5 years, I want to see that I have been able to do this multiplied by five, and we can hold you accountable to that. I won't come for you anyway, but at least that could be a measurable step to our contribution. I don't know if it's clear, Professor Shidat. Your mic is muted, sorry. You're muted. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, thank
So
you
yeah.
very much for, yes, coming back again. Excuse me.
Yeah.
What I see currently at EDC, um, I believe if we can give a kind of access, okay, to students, I'll give you a kind of scenario at ETC Entrepreneurship Development Center, as well as computer science. I saw brilliant female students, especially in computer science. They still to apply AI research role. I saw a capable women. Yeah, I'm not sure whether they belong to advanced computing, but I know it's not because they lack ability, but because maybe visibility and sponsorship and maybe exposure were very limited. So instead of maybe debating gap, what I do is just to redesign the ecosystem, especially at EDC. So when I came on board, the first thing was embed of a digital transformation into entrepreneurship. It was actually very difficult for me to let people comply, but alhamdulillah, today I can see like changes, like vivid changes. Even the instructors, they are now complying because it's not just teaching the skills, okay? But what I'm looking at is we want to build adventures through I organize something we call night coders, and this is for female night coders. I call them my uh I forgot the name, my night something female, but the main program is night coder. If I go to class in the afternoon, I believe we don't already have enough resources here. um, Maybe students don't even have the computer, or the computer in the classroom is not good enough. So I call it night coder. At the comfort of your room in the hostel, you can just join using some student also to do this demonstration. So that is one of the first thing. Then we create a space. Currently we have four we call
Okay. I think it's a network. Can someone else confirm there's an issue with the network? Okay. Okay. I'm trying to see what's okay. So I will just well, I'll come back to her to wrap up her closing remark, but I think I got most of what she was trying to say. She already has some initiative put in place where she uses for female students to encourage them to be more visible. So we hope we can have her back so she can wrap up on that. So thank you. Yeah, so from Professor Juliet, yes, we'll take a closing remark from you because of our time, so we can go back to the audience to take question. And this has to do with aside addressing the young girls, let's see also how the industrial institutions can play their part in respect of inclusion. Well, I mean, that's a question for you, how industry, because I know you've really spanned from industry to academic, so you have the mix of everything. You've played in the Western SPDC and then now in the academic. So what's the role? How can they be very intentional about this inclusion? And then my final question for you, it's a two-in-one question, is what does 2035 success look like for you? You were one out of many taking pictures in a male dominated field. What's your intentionality about it that come what 2025, by the time we're taking those group pictures again, it should be 50-50, 50 females and, I mean, half percentage of females and half percentage. I know it's not a one man effort, but what do you think will be in place for these things to happen the way we want it to happen? Yeah. Okay,
Okay,
so
so
we can
thank you so
take
much.
questions.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Yes,
Can you hear
yes.
me? Okay. So
Clearly.
just a brief one because looking at, I think the female gender need to be intentional in all that we do. We need to be intentional in all that we do to be able to achieve. I think we have spoken a lot on that. And one other thing too is that I wanted to contribute also to how would I put it now? To see that things that make a middle career, like you are in mid career to be able to get that success, to be able to get to the top level of your career. It's not easy getting there, but at least most times we dwell on entry level and all that. So, like for instance, you can see somebody, there are natural processes that hinder the female gender, and that's why we need to be intentional. For instance, somebody is going on a maternity leave, and maybe just come back from maternity leave, has a child of like 6 months, and you are supposed to be in the field, and it's compulsory you have to be there. So those things naturally. So how will you leave your 6 month old child to be in the field for 1 month in, 1 month out, or 3 weeks in and 3 weeks out? And if they're like, okay, let's reschedule this role for you and put you somewhere else, and it's counting against you in your T&T. Those things need to be revisited and be able to see how those things, because not that they are not intelligent, not that they are not good, but naturally the system favors the main gender. I think we have discussed that. So maybe at the UN level, at our policy level, we will see how that can come in so that the female gender can be attended to properly. Because if not so, you see where some people are just, it's like a frustration. The children need your attention, the husband need your attention. Like I said, if he said, even your parents need your attention. If you're a sibling of maybe five, and you're the only girl or two girls, it's the girls that will come first. So a lot of things around you. So those things you be able to look at those things at an institution level, at a company level, so that it's not overwhelming. Because I've seen where bosses know that because you are a female, they make sure that they put things in a way that is like a clog in the wheel. So either you are taking it or you are going out. So it becomes a problem. So we need to be able to look at that. And we as ladies, even with all those difficulties, let's say how we can be intentional. I think we were in a progress fee program earlier this week when somebody said he go to the to work with the feedback, and he has a little baby and all that. You might never plan to go to the field, and they just call you and you are going to the field, and you have a little baby of how many months old. So those things, yes, they are there, but you need to be able to see how you are intentional about it to be able to move on. I think that is, what is the second question again? I think there's a second question. Did I get that second question? Hello?
Yeah, I think you've basically touched
Okay,
around on it. So
just a minute, just talking about 2035. I think I said so in my
yes,
opening
1965, yeah.
remark. If all this, all what we are saying, if the industry takes it seriously and they try to tweak their policy so that it's not naturally disadvantaged to the female gender, and the female gender also make sure that we are daring, we are confident to go, and we are compassionate with what we are doing. By 2025, the picture will change. Even if we don't have 50-50, it will not be the same percentage we are having today. It will have increased. Thank you.
That's brilliant. Thank you so much for that wonderful wrap up. So, in other words, it may not be 50-50, but the gender gap is gradually closing up. There's going to be more inclusion and intentionality about it. And I hear you say a whole lot about work home balance, not work life balance, how to be very intentional about in as a female. Such that when life gets really, really busy, you can still find a way to balance your family and also balance your career without letting down the ball or dropping down the ball, because nobody's going to give you the seat because you're a woman, but they will give it to you because you're competent and fit to take that job. Yes, so thank you very much. So a wrap-up statement, we'll move on to Ify now for a wrap-up statement. I know we have a lot of questions going on and hands up. um, Professor Rashida, we see you're back. Please, sometime, please hold your thoughts together. You give us another closing remark, and while we'll take from Ify your closing remark. Ify, what are you going to be intentional to do to ensure that this inclusion is not just a talking forum, but an impactful session in the next 5 to 10 years? What's the intentionality around it? What do you want to
Well,
see? What are you looking to see?
yeah.
Yeah.
So for me, I already started that journey. Um, Before I talk about what I want to do, I want to talk about why I felt the need to. I was raised in a family where my parents used to say they didn't see boys, they didn't have boys or girls, they had children. And that's not to say that they didn't acknowledge our unique needs. But when it came to things like chores and opportunities, it was based on skill sets and age. So while I was raised to be able to change car tires, change batteries, sockets, my brothers were raised to cook, bake, go to the market. And I didn't realize what an empowering upbringing I had until I got into university, because I also went to an all-girls primary school with a very visionary head of school at the time. And we didn't realize there was anything we could not do. And got into university and we began to see these changes. And so for me, it's always been a sensitive thing when I realize that things I have done are privileges or things that I should stop doing or things that other women like me have never encountered. I got into the workplace. I must say that my workplace is quite um, how do I put this? So I had a boss who first said that in the organization, everybody's a man until they see the misses. And that's the attitude. They give you the opportunity. What you make of it determines where you find yourself, male or female. However, we find that many of the women don't step up to those opportunities because they already have preconceived biases. And so years into my career, I realized that I needed to also make sure that the search for a well-balanced female mentorship, sponsorship that I needed in the industry was not something that those coming behind me would not find. I mentor a lot of young women. I don't advertise it. I identify them, I mentor them. And that's what I was doing. But now I've decided to do it in a more intentional manner. And what does that look like? I've chaired quite a number of committees in WIMBIZ. Most people think that WIMBIZ is all about business women and entrepreneurship, but there is the public service point of view, and I'm determined to make sure that we bring in as many public servants into that fold because it gives you a lot of exposure. It gives you access to a lot of sponsors, female sponsors, access to a lot of learning and opportunities. I also sit on the advisory board of Women in Technology in Nigeria. That's a UN. It has a special class with the UN. We run a lot of programs for young girls, for girls in across different ages, just to ensure that they're enlightened and they know that tech is not an elitist area. Because statistics tells us now that tech is occupied by about 82% men. That's ridiculous in my opinion. Also, under the Society of Petroleum Engineering Fora, I actually am the vice chair for the Women Leadership Program with my chair, who is Kafaya, the chair of the Abuja chapter as well. And we are determined to ensure that we give a lot of voice to a lot of these issues, not just from speaking, but also doing by recognizing the girls in STEM and giving them sponsorship and mentorship. On my own part as an individual, I've started my platform Thrive 360, where we're talking about living a wholesome and a balanced life in a digital world, because the digital world is very fast-paced. It's very now, 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 and that can be very overwhelming to the human being, more so the woman, because the woman is the heart of the home. So I have a special program also dedicated to helping women redesign their lives such that they're able to support those big dreams, those big roles, those big responsibilities they carry without, being constantly tired and exhausted. I want to appeal to all the young women who are in this, or who will watch this at any point. Do not give up. Do not lose hope. Do not do not assume that because the opportunity is not handed to you, that you cannot show up strongly, and get that opportunity. But as you show up, ensure that whatever you do, you also do not compromise your sense of self, your energy levels, and your performance. And so, yes, those are all the things that I'm dedicated to doing, both on a local and a global stage. And I'm hoping that if women like me who have had the opportunity also reach back and play their own part, 2025 will see where we are no longer having these conversations. 2025 will see where women are accepted as we are, with our soft power, not necessarily a woman trying to fit into a man's world, but a woman being a woman, all she can be, and bringing all her excellence into the workforce. Thank you.
Well said, Ify. Is always, it's always very, very motivating and impactful to listen to you and all the power women out there, and it gives us that energy we need to drive into the next generation to drive. And what I see all of you doing on this platform is I see you up the ladder and you're holding the ladder down for the next young lady to come up. So you're not just staying up and throwing the ladder away. I see you pulling them up with every effort. All we need to do is give this more visibility, more collaboration, more encouragement. So I think, and I'm suggesting personally, that we shouldn't work in silos. We should work in collaboration so that this effort can be more meaningful, more visible, and in collaboration. While you are trying to help one or two women, in collaboration we'll be able to help 100 women, 1,000 women at every point. And by so doing, innovation is created, powers are shifting, and inclusion is not just about numbers but intentionality. So thank you very much, all the power women. I'll come back to Professor Rashida to take the closing statement, but I've been receiving a lot of private messages that the men wants to hear their opinion as well. Let's hope it's on the positive side. And then please, if I'm unable to take your question, please feel free to connect with them on LinkedIn, send them a direct message, because we are really constrained with time. We had a whole lot that we want to discuss, but I hope this little conversation has taken us from just vision to impact, and we're on the roadmap. We've created a pathway for the next generation of ladies to be more inclusive, and powers are shifting as well. So thank you. So one last Dong IL, you're going to keep it very brief, just 1 minute, and then we'll hand over back to Professor Rashida for a closing remark. Yes.
Yes,
So
I promise. I will keep it under 60 seconds. I
please
was
do.
hesitant, but I felt I need to talk, right?
Okay. Awesome.
Ify, all that you've said, spot on, spot on, spot on. I particularly envy women because with the little effort I see my wife putting at work from the things I taught her how to do, and she's achieving result, I wish I was the one in her shoes. That's one. Secondly, it all boils down to the family values. That's where it all starts. When we begin to segregate between boys and girls. No, I have a girl. The way I treat my boys, that's the way I treat my girls. She's on the skating boot, they are on the skating boots. She's on the bicycle, they are on the bicycle. We're climbing the rocks together. We're doing the chores together. In fact, she is the youngest, but she is competing with her elder brothers. And I'm so amazed on how much she has grown. And one day I was asking my wife, when did this lady grow? Because, see, this thing is scriptural. Coming back to what Professor Rashida said, right? If a man is strong, the strongest part of it is the woman. And if a woman is weak, the weakest part of it is the woman. So if a man is B to Y, a woman is A to Z. So it's not an issue of being weak. No, it's an issue of understanding the value that you carry as an incubator of life itself and of everything you see on the surface of the earth. We as men, we've been given one gift, strength to protect. I'm not trying to preach here, but it's to make us understand value. So as much as we can talk about all this all day, but we need to start from the family values, right from the home, where we, the parents, begin to instill this value into women. Make them understand that the world is their platform, not just for men. Okay? Thank you. I stop here. I promise to keep it under 60 seconds.
And you did absolutely brilliant. And I can summarize everything you've said. Inclusion begins from home. Yeah, so inclusion begins from home. So thank you very much, Dong IL. Thank you so very much. We'll take it up to Professor Rashida. You've given us the encouragement that we need to go on. We already have that, but I mean, good to hear that affirmation from you. Inclusion begins from home. Thank you very much. Professor Rashida, please, your closing remark, and then we can hand over, I'll do an overall, then we can hand over to the MC. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah, to make it very brief, um, what I have learned or what I want to summarize is when we change access, the talent rise. That's, I mean, from my own experience, especially at Entrepreneurship Development Center here. When you assign responsibility, you see that there will be the confidence will expand. And if we want to measure a kind of participation, like I want to know who is doing what, you also see that there will be improvements in the performance. And when we normalize all our representation, I believe the gap will shrink. This is my own observation at EDC. I told you when I came on board, the first thing was to digitize, I mean, the transformation of EDC, make everything to be digital. And through my night coders, okay, I have a few things that I mean came on board with. I have another thing called the tailoring technology here, which you find both male and female, but yeah, the female are really doing very well. So I see it like not just teaching skill, as I mentioned, we want to build a venture. So through my night coders and creating a space for the hub I mentioned. In fact, the space we're currently, as of yesterday, we're still working on it. So I see these ladies, I see them as a system architect. I also mentioned something about Nora X. And so with Nora X, we are actually developing intelligence system that will reflect inclusivity because Nora X, she's a female. I don't know if I can share or later maybe I can drop it somewhere that people can see. She's a female, she's a Muslim female, and that reflects inclusivity. She's designed to have what we call the heart. Our engine is heart. She have empathy. She's not just any kind of robot. Okay. She helps in humanitarian engineering project. Uh, Women in my own space here, they are not just beneficiary. They are co-creator of AI-driven solution. For our real community, I have my girls that have led project. We have one project, we call it Communiversity, where the community and the university, we take the university to the community. And the first project we embarked on was led by one of my facilitator. She facilitated how to paint, how to like beautify a building outside it. So mine is like when we give them the access, you see that the talent rise, and definitely this gap is going to close. And it is girl that starts the night coder like me, okay, that leads the AI research in university, incubators, and so on and so forth, startup at EDC. So I believe we are designing technology to solve humanitarian challenges. And sooner or later,
Yeah,
this knowledge will be distributed equally. And yeah, our duty now
absolutely.
is to see that it is being designed well and everybody have equal opportunity. So I think that's
Yeah.
what I want to say. And thank you very much for giving this opportunity. So our vision now will become impact, inshallah. Thank you.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you very, very much. We do really appreciate your thoughts, your vision. One of the highlights I picked from what you said was taking the university into the community. So that means even if the girl, the women don't come to class, you're going to take the education to them and they would grab it. And from them, they will begin to build their confidence. Thank you very much. You've all shared amazing, brilliant, insightful session. I mean, it's gone beyond words. We're very passionate about this. Yes, so I see people are asking for your LinkedIn profiles. Please put it out to share. I would also challenge the UN representative here to be intentional about getting all the career women on this platform to be part of all the initiatives that you've shared. It's voluntarily. We'll be willing to give you our time. I hope I get Ife's consent and Professor Rashidat on that as well. So let's not work in silos. Let's not work as one at two if we must achieve what we want to achieve by 2035. Let's work in collaboration as much as we have all our different networks like WIMBIS, like WIN, like WOEG, everything. We can do more by, working with the United Nations, which I think it's one of their core mandates as well. So thank you for giving me the privilege to moderate this session. I've been so I've learned a whole lot from today. I've also been encouraged to do more. I've also been insightful, and it's a pleasure to meet every one of you. It's a pleasure to have beautiful and engaging participants as well. And thank you, SP Platform, for this opportunity to move this from talk to word to actions as well. Thank you for holding down the ladders for the next generation of women to come on top. And I wish you all the very best. Do have a good afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you so much. You agree with me that Onome, Jonathan did amazing work with all of the moderators. Please, can we give them some virtual applause? Thank you, Ife Okafor. Thank you, Prof. Rashida. Thank you, Professor Juliet. Of course, a UN representative Ikeoba. Thank you so much. We're going to wrap up the event in about 5 minutes, so we kindly appeal you just take note of the few information. Of course, we kindly appeal that part of bridging the STEM gap is being part of professional associations like the SPE. So please, we kindly appeal that the women on the call, if you're not a member of SPE, kindly join. We have opportunities for students and professional members. The cost is about 7,500 naira for new membership. And of course, to renew your membership is about 62,500 for those that have not renewed for the past year. Of course, you can take a screenshot of what you see on your screen so that you can probably message our membership chair, Dr. Romeo Golo, and he will guide you on being a member. Of course, payments just in case you're a member and have not renewed for 2026. Now, all of our events, including this one, is live streamed on our social media platforms, including YouTube. Please kindly visit and watch our past technical sessions. Of course, we are live on Facebook, X, LinkedIn, Instagram, and our email. We will respond to all of the emails in 24 hours. We'd like to also announce that we have our first flagship event as SPE on the 9th of April 2026, live at PTDF Auditorium here in Abuja. We kindly appeal that you register and mark the date on your calendar so that you can attend. And of course, network with industry professionals as we discuss on this theme. We also appeal that tomorrow, SP Abuja, still part of this event to commemorate International Days of Women and Girls in Science, would have an advocacy visit to Parliament International School here in Abuja from 9:30 a.m. to 11 a.m., where we'll tell the secondary school students about STEM. We'll do some practicals with them. So please, if you'd like to join, you can send a DM to us on any of our social media platforms, or you visit us at the school, Parliament International Secondary School, by 9:30 a.m. tomorrow, and just say you are part of the SP Abuja team, and you will be directed to the classroom where we'll be doing the practicals. We also have another event for students, which is the Student Affairs Career Development Program, which will hold on the 23rd of February. Please ensure you register to attend. Ladies and gentlemen, wrap up the event by asking our amiable D&I chair for a closing remark. Please help me welcome Farida Dan Ali as she gives us the closing remark. Farida, are you on the call? I think Farida is not on the call. Okay, then I think Representative Farida would like to kindly request the program's chair, Professor Kafayat Adeyemi, to do us the honors of giving a closing remark.
Good afternoon, my esteemed panelists, moderator, and attendees. It's been almost 2 hours of deep, interactive, and realistic discussions. I do appreciate your time and your sharing your experiences with us. I must say, I picked two statements that are so powerful. Patient said, entry without we've got a lot of work to do. Thanks for your time. I do sincerely appreciate and hoping everyone has a very good evening. Good afternoon, sorry. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. So ladies and gentlemen, as a wrap up, please, can you turn on the video cameras? Let's do a very quick screenshot for our social media pages. Please turn on your video cameras, please, turn on your video cameras, please, turn on your video cameras, please. Let's do a screenshot. So when I say SP Abuja, you can respond with culture of excellence with a thumbs up. And we would be pleased to have a screenshot, please. Can you turn on video cameras now, please? Yes, turn on video cameras. Thank you.
We should turn it off.
Turn it on, turn it on, turn it on. So when I say SPE Abuja, you respond with culture of excellence and your thumbs up. We would like to have you smile. SPE Abuja, respond with culture of excellence.